Hey guys, before we get started, I wanted to give a special thank you / shout out to Deburke321 for doing this collaboration with me. It was a lot of fun, and you guys should definitely go check out his videos. He does some pretty cool and creepy countdowns, and I'll leave an annotation with a link to his channel on the screen now. Stay spooky. Remember in 2nd grade when Billy told you about the little girl who drowned in the lake behind school and now haunts it? Well, you either thought it was all a bunch of bogus or you were afraid of being eaten by a ghost in a math class. Urban legends are an inescapable part of human culture. No matter where you go in the world, everywhere has its own boogeyman. Even the gaming world. Many of our favorite video games hide dark and disturbing secrets that could either be true, or just another girl in the lake behind school. That's for you to decide. Today, we've gathered up 5 of our favorites. Halo 2 was a quintessential part of any gaming library in the early 2000s. When I was younger, I was obsessed with Halo 2. I played it frequently and even owned multiple books regarding the game. Unfortunately, however, I never got the chance to use Xbox Live. When I grew tired of replaying the same campaign missions over and over, I'd roam the many multiplayer maps, alone, always wishing I had somebody else to play with. Well, many players in my same situation had their wishes granted. Very rarely, usually on the map Lockout, another Spartan would spawn. This Spartan would have no walking or shooting animation. It would just simply slide along the ground and do damage to you. This nameless Spartan was invincible, essentially turning your peaceful roaming into a game of cat and mouse. A few YouTube videos were uploaded demonstrating this unusual phenomenon, however most dismissed them as fake. Later, Bungie came forward to say that the ghosts of Lockout were in fact real. They were leftovers in the game's code of bots that you were originally supposed to be able to fight, but were scrapped early in development. How they continued to spawn remains a mystery to this day.
Many retro games are seen as quirky and cute, but the 1989 title Kill Switch is just the opposite. This notorious game was supposedly released by a Soviet gaming company called Karvina Corporation. The 2D side-scroller was very creepy in nature and was advertised as a survival horror game. The game let you choose 2 different characters, a little girl or an invisible demon. Choosing the little girl would allow you to play the game as usual, but choosing the invisible demon would wipe your game's save data entirely. If that's not already bad enough, the game was sold on a single floppy disk, and in-game death or incorrect completion resulted in the game completely deleting itself. Creating a copy of the game was impossible, and due to the relatively small amount of copies made, they erased themselves from existence very quickly. The game was thought to be forever lost, but in 2005 what was supposedly the last remaining copy of Kill Switch was sold on eBay to a Japanese collector. The collector vowed he would create a YouTube series documenting the game and eventually intended to show the unseen true ending. Months had passed with no further word from the collector until suddenly a single video popped up on the man's YouTube channel. Excited to see what the man had posted, many people flocked to get a glimpse of the infamous game. However, they were both disappointed and disturbed when the video was not gameplay at all, but instead a 60-second clip of the man staring at his computer screen, crying. The clip then ends with no explanation. We can only imagine what this man might have seen, but that's it, only imagine, considering there's likely no more copies of Kill Switch on Earth.
In the wonderful world of video games, none can compare to the innocence and playfulness found in Mario games. Sure, they're about an overweight plumber crawling in the sewers, killing turtles and eating unknown mushrooms, but he's our overweight plumber crawling in the sewers, killing turtles and eating unknown mushrooms. Mario is more often than not the main protagonist of Mario games. However, his often neglected brother Luigi got his 15 minutes of fame when he starred in his own title known as Luigi's Mansion. Now, this game surprised many gamers and parents alike with its subtle horror elements. The game was by no means scary, but often contained scenes that could easily frighten an 8-year-old. It does take place in a haunted mansion after all. Well, despite the horrific game over screen found in the beta, the game was pretty tame. But one secret made gamers say otherwise. During a level in the attic, the room often fills with a white light caused by the lightning outside. If you stand in a certain spot when the lightning strikes, Luigi's shadow can be seen hanging lifelessly from the rafters. This absolutely chilling sight has many players asking the question, is it just a glitch, or does Luigi have more in common with the ghosts than we thought? That's up to you to decide.
Ah, the days of the PlayStation, where 3D graphics were still young and quality games filled the market. Amongst these games was a title known as Twisted Metal. Twisted Metal was extremely popular at the time, and a huge fanbase encouraged Sony to fund newer and better games in the Twisted Metal franchise. As the PlayStation 2 rolled around, Twisted Metal was still seen as one of the champions of PlayStation. The popular title, Twisted Metal Black, helped seal that position. After that game hit the markets, the team over at Incognito Entertainment decided they wanted to focus on a new idea, known as Twisted Metal Harbor City. After plenty of hard work and dedication, 4 out of the 10 levels were finished and ready to be played. Midway during development, tragedy struck when 6 members of the Twisted Metal Harbor City team suddenly died in a plane crash. Heartbroken and mourning, the team at Incognito Entertainment put the game to rest. Now, as all of us can relate, when you work hard on something, you want it to be noticed. The 6 deceased team members were no exception. In 2007, Incognito Software received a letter requesting the 4 finished levels to be released for the public to enjoy. Now, the weird part about this letter was that it was signed by the 6 dead team members. This could easily be dismissed as someone's idea of a sick joke, but hints in the note suggest the author knew things only the development team could know. Incognito Entertainment released a Twisted Metal Harbor City beta out of respect for the deceased team members.
Few games of the 80s could cause such stress as the game Berserk. In Berserk, you play as a small stick figure, fighting hordes of robots trying desperately to vaporize you into dust. As intense as this sounds, it's certainly not the most intense part of the game. That title belongs to the infamous Evil Otto. Evil Otto was a character encountered in the game who would constantly pursue you. If he caught up to you, it'd result in an instant death. Worst part, the creepy smiling spawn of Satan was impervious to your bullets. Now, if you're like me, you know how heart-pounding being chased in a video game can be, and Evil Otto took advantage of this fact. The character Evil Otto was named after the creator's former co-worker, Dave Otto. Dave was notorious for smiling while reprimanding other employees. The game was challenging and stressful, but also addicting. Apparently, the stress was too much for 19-year-old Jeff Daly, because shortly after logging his high score in Berserk, he suffered a fatal heart attack. What makes this situation even stranger is that Jeff had no aforementioned heart problems. This tragic incident is just that, tragic. However, it isn't completely isolated. Not too long after Jeff met his untimely demise, 18-year-old Peter Perkowski would suffer an identical fate. Both young men, in otherwise fine health, dying in very unusual ways, near seconds after logging their high scores in the game Berserk. I know, spooky, huh? A good campfire story to tell the kids. Well, the scariest part of this story is that it is 100% true. The deaths of both young men are well documented and occurred in the way the story tells. Could it have been caused by the game, or even Evil Otto himself? Or was it just a crazy and sad coincidence? We may never know. Thanks for watching this episode of The Spooky Side of Games. If you enjoyed, feel free to drop a like and maybe even subscribe for more spooky content. Stay spooky.
What is it?
Mamma mia.